Welcome to episode number 14 of the Heroes Journal podcast. I'm Kyle.
I'm Nick.
And we had some pretty big stuff happen this week.
This is a big week.
This is, if you were to think about the timeline of the Heroes Journal, this would be probably 99th percentile of weeks.
Yes, this is a historic week for the business. We launched officially our second Kickstarter. The Astoria Magic Academy Journal is now on Kickstarter. So
yeah, we wanted to film this podcast after because we almost filmed it on Monday before it launched, but we decided, you know what, let's wait till Thursday. Let's get a little bit more aftermath going on.
Yeah, we launched on Tuesday. Today is Thursday, so it's been.
You'll be seeing this on Saturday.
You'll be seeing this on Saturday.
Those are days of the week.
Well, it's just important with the first couple of days of the campaign. If you guys don't know, Kickstarter is heavily reliant on the first 24 to 72 hours of your campaign, but especially that first 24.
Yeah.
And I would honestly say we probably spent the last month getting ready for the first 24 hours.
It's true.
And I think it paid off.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why don't you talk a little bit about that first 24 hours from your perspective?
Yeah, I mean,
give me the pros, and then we'll go
the pros.
Yeah, and then we'll go to the cons.
So here are the pros. The one of the pros is that we're doing a 30-day event, but enough people felt it necessary to show up at the very opening of the campaign.
Yeah.
That we were able to share the funding moment with a lot of people.
Yeah, we live streamed it.
Yeah, live on the internet.
We got a clip. Bert clipped it. It's pretty cool.
But yeah, I think that like if people had been like, oh, there's 30 days, and they kind of had like put it off until later.
Yeah.
Right. There's a very strong possibility that we wouldn't have been able to share that moment.
Right.
We set the goal at something that was achievable. Right. It wasn't like an easy goal, but it wasn't something that was insane because we wanted to share that moment with people. We wanted people to be there with us as we as we guarantee the Astoria Magic Academy coming into the world, right? That's like
it's a special moment. It's a little unplanned. I don't think we were planning to get funded live. At least I hadn't really thought about it until it started happening.
If you were to ask Bert, there's probably a lot of things that were unplanned about that particular live stream.
Yeah, that morning was a little chaotic, but
yeah,
I think we're all just like nervous, a little bit on edge.
Yeah.
You know, now that we're kind of on the other side of the launch, there is kind of these feelings of like, man, this was a lot of effort. There's a lot of work for the last, and just like bandwidth. It's just like, it's kind of like you've just been thinking of this thing so much for 6 months, and you have so much time to think about the reception of it and think about how the campaign's going to go and think about the worst case scenario and the best case scenario. And, you kind of wind up somewhere in the middle there. And I think it's kind of, I don't want to say, uninspiring, but it's kind of like, it feels like you kind of cross the finish line of like a long marathon.
Yeah.
And when you're training for that marathon, you're thinking about like, doing it well and like not getting tired, getting a good time. By the end of actually just like running it, it feels like you're just like trying to finish. It's kind of what it felt like for me. Like, I think,
running a long race is a very gratifying feeling.
Of course.
Yeah. And it was a very gratifying moment to get funded. There's like a what next kind of feeling, I guess would be the after you've done your cool down or you've eaten your banana and you're with your like electric with those blanket things, you know what I'm talking about? Everyone has like, they post the picture with the tinfoil blanket. It's like, now what do you do? Right. Yeah. It's like, I've now recovered from that really difficult, I would say it's kind of where we're at now.
Yeah. 28 days left in the campaign.
Yeah.
We are at $78,000 so far. I believe something like 800 and
it's either low 10 or right below 10, right above 10, right around there.
Some about which is cool. Our first day we ended at like $6,300.
$1,000.
Sorry, 63,000.
Yeah.
6,300 would have been hard, but yeah, we got funded in 9 minutes.
Yeah.
That's what we're talking about. So like that was incredibly exciting. Got it on the live stream. And then even we hit our first stretch goal, which was $50,000. So it's 200% backed.
Yeah.
Which unlocked, boxes, collectible boxes for everyone, which is pretty exciting.
Slowly chipping away at that 100K bookmark stretch goal.
Yeah. That's the next stretch goal, is doing more habit tracker bookmarks, which I'm excited about. One thing it's kind of weird. Like I think about the whole campaign, I think about all the work, and the thing I'm most proud of right now as that Kickstarter picked us as a project that they love.
Oh yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. I don't know if it's like the Enneagram 3 in me where I'm like, someone recognized me publicly for something.
Yeah.
But like in a weird way, it sounds crazy. That feels way more important to me than any number we do.
Well, I mean, think about it, right? Like, think about the amount of projects Kickstarter's seen in general, right? There have been thousands, if not tens of thousands of projects people have launched, and by no means am I trying to like degrade the quality of someone else's project, but like it feels good to be like, they're like, you guys did something good.
It kind of feels like getting verified. Yeah. You know?
Yeah. We still need to get verified.
We never gotten verified. Come on, Instagram.
Yeah.
I know you're listening, guys. Please verify the Heroes Journal
seriously.
at the Heroes Journal. No, it's like, but it is that feeling. There's like that public badge of like, you are legit. You are, something that we kind of like endorse in a way. And so I don't know if it really helps your backer numbers. I think it ranks you higher on like the Discover page. But all that aside, I felt like we did what we came to do when we got that badge. It was a big moment.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I would agree. I would say that like the thought behind the specifics and really putting things in specific places and the amount of effort we put in, like, because at the end of the day, right, like you can do all the stuff you want to a Kickstarter page, but it's the product that shines right through it all.
Yeah.
And I think that the biggest thing that we did with this Kickstarter was make a great product, which I'm really proud of.
Oh yeah.
And it's like all the rest of the stuff follows. So I would say that it's like, it's more gratifying from someone saw our product and was like, you know what, that's a good thing. I want that thing to exist in the world.
Yeah. It feels good. It feels good to know we can back it up.
Yeah.
We've fulfilled big orders before. We have like a warehouse. We have a small operation here that can support this kind of like attention. It's not like we're going like gangbusters blowing up over here. It feels good to have confidence in knowing that like our biggest holdup, if you will, is our supplier sending it to us, not us sending it to our customers, not us getting orders out. So, thank God it's not just like you and me in like a living room, that would be like a lot more difficult.
It's true.
Sorting out all these different orders and like on our coffee table, so, I'm thankful for that. I'm excited for that. It feels good to know that what we did in our Kickstarter already wouldn't have been able to be handled in our old situation. So
yeah,
it feels like, the house paid off in a way.
Yeah, it's true.
So there's probably a few more pros here and there, but I want to hear some of the cons. I want to hear some of the like things that maybe don't feel so great.
Yeah, I would say, I mean, I think there is no world where I complain about $63,000, right? That's like, that would be a ridiculous thing unless we spent like $1 million in R&D. We did not.
No.
But I think that with the financial investment we made into Magic Month, into gathering, into trying to bring as many heroes into our world, there was an expectation of whether it's more dollars doesn't necessarily matter to me. I think it was more people.
Yeah, exactly.
Our first day of our November launch on November 15th, we did 721 orders. We did like mid 600 orders.
Yeah.
On February 5th. And now granted, like I'm 15th, 16th. Now granted, there is a level of consumerism involved with Black Friday and the holidays coming up, and it's it's like a pre-order, but it's like 10 days delayed. It wasn't like a really very different ask.
It's true. Yeah, so, Kickstarter is definitely a slightly different language on the audience side.
Yeah, and we did quite literally limit the amount of things we were going to sell for that purple launch. So that was also like, you got to get in.
That's true, actually. Yeah.
So there were like levels to it, and there were layers to the whole thing. But that being said, it's also like a brand new product. And I think that one of the reasons why we went to Kickstarter instead of just doing another launch on our website, because we had proven that it could be a very profitable endeavor, was that our goal is to help as many people see themselves as the hero of their lives. And we needed a platform that allowed for a level of virality and allowed for a level of new heroes to come along and join in on the process of doing that.
Yeah.
So we had to take a risk with Kickstarter because we knew that we had a chance of getting new eyes.
Mm-hmm.
And we had a chance to tell new people like, hey, you can be the hero of your life. You could tell a more positive story about yourself and your goals and who you are and who you want to be. So it's a risk that is worthwhile. I think, right. We had the conversation this morning about whether or not we would do another Kickstarter anytime soon. And we were both like, I don't know.
Yeah.
But I would not do this Kickstarter, right? That's like my...
That's fair. I'm still glad we did this Kickstarter versus releasing it on our website, all things concerned. Mm-hmm. I said it this morning. I'll say it again. We could have had a bigger first day on our website and definitely more profitable, right? Kickstarter isn't there taking a percentage but it's not about that, right? Like we still had an incredible first day, to your point. We've had bigger first days before, but like, you know, a Kickstarter is a group project. And I know in November when we did a big release with Purple, I wasn't getting the same amount of texts or emails from even people that I know or close friends or whatever that I am now. And I think that speaks to the level of, visibility that Kickstarter has and that it gives to people and gives the impression that this thing is real. It's kind of like, I think it's some of the most significant and poignant social proof you could ask for, which is the real reason of doing it. We could get better at running Kickstarters. I think we kind of ran ourselves into the ground, maybe invested a little bit in some of the wrong things too heavily. But you know, there's still a lot of time left, still a lot of campaign left. We ended up, kind of auditioning a marketing agency just for Kickstarter.
Yeah.
Just to kind of see what that's like. We've always kind of flirted with the idea and have never pulled the trigger. So I'm kind of nervous, kind of excited to see how it goes. We have a marketing budget. So, it's not like, I don't know. It's not like we weren't going to spend money anyway. And I mean, the truth is like for those listening and you might want to run a Kickstarter, it's hard to run digital ads through a Kickstarter campaign. For those that might not know, like most digital advertising relies on what's called like a pixel is what Facebook calls it.
Marketing attribution.
Attribution, right? So how does your website, know like what the people on the website are doing? What are they clicking on? What's like the flow of traffic? And most importantly, like did someone buy something?
Yeah.
And if so, where did they come from? Did they come from Facebook, their email, Instagram?
Did the money I spent here result in in a purchase over here?
Exactly.
That is the...
Yeah. And if your attribution isn't clear, then it's hard to know what's working. You're kind of just like, you're just like shooting in the dark. You might be hitting stuff, which is exciting, but if you don't know what to double down on, you're essentially kind of wasting money, if you will.
Yeah, which makes it really difficult to define success.
Right. And Kickstarter, being kind of a third-party platform, they don't have their own like native pixel. They don't have these things built in like a Facebook does or like a Shopify store does. So you kind of have to do a bunch of workarounds. And if you're an agency and all you specialize in is Kickstarter campaigns, then it's just like, it's kind of like an interesting, tricky game.
Yeah. But the thing is that I'm a Kickstarter agency. It's in their best interest to have the best attribution.
Right.
Because that's how they get paid, right?
Yes. So it's just kind of an interesting world.
Yeah.
It's definitely a learning experience for us.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Yeah, I think, it's very interesting. I think that in this process of the Kickstarter and of growing and closing out 2020, I think our roles as founders have also been a lot more clarified.
Yeah.
Like just at a 30,000 foot perspective, I'm kind of changing gears here, but at a 30,000 foot perspective, it's very much like your job is to like kind of formulate a vision and to really think about what the mission of the Hero's Journal is to the world.
Yeah.
And my job is very much like, how do we carry that out? Right. We have to, you and I have this kind of like this tango that we have to do of you pushing forward almost impossible expectations for what the Hero's Journal will mean to people.
Yeah.
And it's my job to figure out how to like have internal meetings that are based around like us knowing that like helping people become the hero of their story, making sure we don't like making sure that the profit margin is there, that we can sustain this for a long time in order, right? So like all of these things, right? And then like you're very much in the building of the product, right? Which is very like in tune with the vision, and like outro content's a great example of that, because our goal is to help you tell a better story, to see yourself as the hero. But how are you telling a story if there's no ending?
Yeah. It's true.
But yeah, so there's a lot of these things, and I think like that's also been the exhaustion involved with this Kickstarter, is because it's really thrust, I mean, honestly, everyone on the team into like their roles. I did a coaching call with my stepmom, who is incredible, and she didn't just call. I didn't just talk to her because she's my stepmom, but she like was high up at like Amazon and like is very respected. Worked at Microsoft, did a lot of really cool stuff in the business world, and I was just talking to her. I was like, how do you do this? Like, how do you grow?
Yeah.
How do you, I think my biggest question is knowing that we have like these crazy, like lofty vision and goals and all this stuff. Like, how do you deal with that on a day-to-day basis? And like, how do you define success, and how do you help other people feel like they're being successful? And I think a lot of that has also weighed on us a lot in the last month, that we had to kind of like put aside due to Kickstarter. But Kickstarter is also making it more important, right? So it's like there's this really confusing equation going on right now that I don't think PEMDAS has the answer for.
Yeah. The order of operations. It's like, what do you work on?
Yeah.
And yeah, I think we had a conversation about it probably about a month ago, where it was like, hey, we're up in the clouds right now thinking about company culture and like direction. And those are like infinitely important. But like, we have to launch this campaign. We have to launch this Kickstarter campaign. We have to do it well. And the more you start to dream about 5 years in the future, the more it kind of takes you out of the moment in a way. And so, I think the gears will probably kind of shift to somewhere in the middle of those two things. But for a couple weeks there, it was just like, what's right in front of us? What are the things you're trying to get done? Mm-hmm. And now they're done. I think that it's kind of like, okay, where's this going? You know, it's like, what's the trajectory of this journal? Are we making more journals? Are we re-releasing the old one? Like, you know, people are asking
a lot of great questions,
all those questions and more. And I think it's up to us to like steward that audience and steward that curiosity well. Mm-hmm. So we're trying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's just there's a lot of things being thrown in the pot right now. We're making a stew, but we're putting a lot of different particular ingredients in that stew.
Yeah.
Do people still eat stew? Is that a thing?
Oh yeah.
When was the last time you had a stew?
Probably like last winter.
Like in 2020 or 2019?
2020.
Really?
Yeah.
You were stewing it up last winter.
Yeah.
Dang.
Yeah. A warm winter soup.
I haven't stewed in some time.
It's great. When it's like snowy outside. I mean, I was snowy outside this last weekend, but
I didn't see you eating stew.
No, I didn't. But I distinctly remember last year eating some stew and it was snowy outside.
All right, whatever you say. It didn't snow this winter, so I mean, I don't know how you did that, but
I don't know. Maybe it was 2 years ago.
Right?
At some point in my adult life, I've eaten stew.
Your stew timeline that's not lining up with the reality of the world.
My stew timeline is skewed.
Whoa.
Stew is skewed.
Talk about a segue.
Yeah.
Today's sponsor, Campbell's Chicken Noodle Soup.
Chunky? Campbell's? Is it Chunky? That was it called?
I don't know.
Chunky Soup. Remember Chunky Soup?
Oh, yeah. It was like all the NFL players.
The NFL players. Yeah. They're like, it's like, this is what got me to the NFL, is eating this Chunky.
Yeah. Nothing else. None of the hard work in the weight room.
Maybe
just
we
eating.
should do that with the journals.
Yeah.
It should be like, hey, if it wasn't for this journal, I wouldn't have gotten to the NFL.
I want you to talk a little bit about, you said this to me, and I've thought about it a lot, and I think you're smart. I think you're a smart guy for saying this. So, yeah.
I like this already.
About how the journal is going to save the culture of our company. And I think about it a lot because save or steward or grow, whatever it is, right?
Yes, I've said this.
Yeah, when you talk about what that kind of means to you and how that looks as we grow.
Yeah, I mean, when you start thinking about big picture stuff and where you want to go, very simply, right? What you want this company to be, you start to think of like what your values are as just a person, as like a founder. What do I care about? What are the things that I want to work on? I'm giving the best years of my life to this business. I have to inject some of what I care about into it so that I don't, grow apathetic towards it or whatever. And it really actually ends up boiling down to like an ethical question, I think, which is kind of odd. I never would have really thought about it that way, but it boils down to like, what do you believe is the right way to act and the right thing to do in the world? Business being a tool to like make the world a better place, to serve, your customers, whatever. Like it comes down like weirdly enough, it lands in like an ethics place. So, the team that we have here now is lean. And the work that we have is we have a lot. There's a lot of work to do. And a lot of the times the work of being an entrepreneur in this stage is just figuring out what work to do, which sounds silly on the surface.
Sounds like a cop out. And
it totally does.
Yeah.
But like, I will never look at a job description the same. Cause when you have to sit down and start to carve out like what jobs belong to which people and what jobs you need to hire for in order to get your business to the roadmap in 5 years, it's like, it's way more work than you think it is. And it requires a level of, vision, obviously. And it also requires a level of like compartmentalization. That takes it takes a lot of business savvy to do that. And anyway, I guess the point I'm trying to get to is we're pretty unorganized. And you could probably trace that somewhere to like, I don't want to say a lack of vision, but just maybe an undefined vision, with what we have. And the incongruency, the unethical part, if you will, comes from, we're a group of people that run a company and we're like disorganized and we're trying to figure out what the right move to do is. And we're not really sure, like, what does that sound like? That sounds like someone who we believe should buy a hero's journal.
Yeah.
It sounds just like an ideal customer. Like it sounds like someone who, maybe they're having trouble establishing what they want to get done, or they're having trouble establishing which thing to pick to get done. And it would help them a ton if they were able to pick a North Star. Why do I want to do this? And then pick a quest. What do I want to get done towards that North Star? Plan it over a period of time and then track that progress and tell that story over the next 3 months. Like that feels like great business advice as well.
Yeah.
So again, I think in order to align more with the values that we believe, which is that everyone should feel like a hero, and to have like a good business and kind of sense of vision, it's like just doing any startup business is really difficult. And so that's where the line, the actual hero's journal might be the thing that ends up saving the hero's journal. Saving is a little dramatic. I dramatized it for you a little bit.
Of course.
Of course I did.
As one does.
For shock and awe. But, there's definitely some truth in that. Like, if we want to build a culture here, I think part of what makes a great culture is someone who, in tech, it's called eating your own dog food. But it's companies and people that use their own products. If it would be concerning if you walked into the Hero's Journal, there's 20 people there and we were all using passion planners. It'd be like, what's going on here? Do you not believe in your product? Like, that's why I used to think it was silly. I used to work in like, technical recruiting, and we'd go to like Microsoft a lot because we're in Seattle, and they'd be like, don't pull your iPhone out. Like there's no Apple products here. We don't use any of that. And I was like, come on, like really? But now I'm running a business and I'm like, I understand why. Cause it's like a subconscious kind of, submitting to like losing, and you're kind of going against what you believe, which is an ethical problem. So anyway, that was a very long-winded answer, but like, that's kind of the philosophy is I think that we have to build towards a place where we are like using our journal so that we can make it better, market research, product research rather. And so that we can stay organized as a team, have a North Star, a shared North Star and a personal North Star. And as like managers, you and I, kind of become, and the people that are early here become, they're able to manage other people on their own personal journeys, so the business has its own North Star and journey. And then I think every single hero at the business should have their own as well. And like, that shouldn't be something that's, like buried or unimportant. It should be like the pinnacle of importance. So that's the whole thought.
Yeah. And just to contrast it, right? Like, so that's Nick's version of the story. And my version of the story is you have to use the journal because you have to figure out a way to define success in your own life, in your own job, in your own function.
Yeah.
And if someone doesn't write down what they want to get done, there's no way for us to track whether or not they're successful, or if we're helping them be successful, or if they're doing enough work, if they're feeling fulfilled, right? All these things from like a technical standpoint, like we have to find a way to track that. And we make a product that really caters to that particular thing. So why not use our product? Why not get high on our own supply in that regard? Right?
I never put it like that. But I hear what you're saying.
But what I mean, it's like,
let's get stoned on the Hero's Journal.
Right?
Right.
Yeah.
That's what you mean.
Yeah. if this were the 1960s. But yeah, I think when you look at being an entrepreneur, there's a lot of reasons as to why someone would be an entrepreneur, right? You listen to the Airbnb guy, he's like, oh, I wanted to break the rules, right? That was his thing. He was like, I lived by the rules, and I was an industrial designer, and I learned how to break the rules, and I went somewhere to
right.
Yeah, right. All this stuff, right? I wanted to break the rules was the big thing for his entrepreneurship story. Or there's other people where you hear all these stories of like the 4-hour work week, the Tim Ferriss thing. It's like, I want to own my life. I want to own my time. Yeah. Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Don't ever trade your time for money. Right. So there's all of these reasons as to why someone would become an entrepreneur. They're very lofty, and they create a short-term problem. Is how do you know you're doing the right things?
Yeah.
How do you know what is successful? How do you know if you're doing the right thing? What time do you work at? Who do you bring in on projects? Who do you leave out of projects, right? All of these things now are completely up in the air. And so you need the people around you to have a language to tell you what they want to be involved with.
Yeah.
And how they define their success at your company.
Right.
So that everyone can feel like they're helping you get to what your goal is. And so for us, right, if our goal is to, and we haven't actually set up, like we don't have like a journal in every house in America, but it's like, we are trying to help as many people become the hero of their story.
Yeah.
So whatever that looks like at scale.
Yeah.
And you have to have people, you have to give people an opportunity to feel as if they are a part of that. This is a really interesting kind of side point. It's a tangent. And this is something I used to talk to my dad about a lot. So I was like an athlete growing up. And we would talk about working for a company that feels like it's winning. And like working for a company that feels like they're on the up and up versus like they're just like spiraling.
Yeah.
And I've worked at both. I've worked at both feelings. And the amount of pride that I felt in my job of a company that felt like it was winning was immensely higher, even though I was in a much, much smaller role, getting paid less money, like very like entry level, minimum wage type of job.
Yeah.
But playing for a winner is a great feeling, because when you play for a winner, you feel like you have control over the success of the group.
Yeah.
Right? Like I'm helping them become a winning organization.
Yeah. And the weird thing is like, and I don't know, this might come off weird, but like the company may not even be winning. I think I think it's a matter of like leadership framing a mission so powerful and so strong that even if that company's in the red, it's like, we're still winning. We're still killing it. Versus like maybe a more mature company, you know. And this, again, a lot of people would disagree with this and be like, well, no, like that's like a startup thing. Cause I mean, that's the truth. Like the modern startup is just like a capital incubator. Like they are running in the red for a large majority of their business, not profitable, gaining market share and whatever else, being disruptive, and then having a huge IPO. It's like very weird. it's not how businesses were run like for a long time, So, maybe that's ethical. Like, I don't know, if it taps into there again, but yeah, it is kind of interesting. Like to posture yourself as a winner to attract talent. And we talked about this, like being in the direct to consumer space. We have a great,
we have a good pitch.
We have a lot of visibility like in the job market. I mean, not yet because we're tiny, but I mean,
we have no money to hire people, but
I just in general, D2C, like, like we used to work because we used to work at the same job. We'd work across from, was it L'Oreal?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like L'Oreal, right? It's like some random Seattle office. The reason we know what L'Oreal is because it's a consumer product. We've seen it in Walmart and Target and stuff growing up for years. That could have been any random business and they could have been doing way better. But just because there's that brand recognition, humans are very simple and they're kind of like, oh, I recognize that. That would be cool if I could work at L'Oreal, because then I would be able to tell people around me that I work at a place that they're also familiar with.
And they go, yeah, I know what that is.
They go, yes. Oh, you're validated. That's great. It's kind of, it's a weird thing.
I mean, I'm not really in the business of validating people's vanity, but
well, it's not vanity. It's just kind of like, I think in general, there's a level of accomplishment that comes with having, the less you have to explain your job, the more accomplished you probably feel.
Yeah. Yeah. I get that makes sense. Yeah.
I'm a doctor.
Yeah.
It's like 2 words, 3 words. It's like, that was easy.
Yeah. It's either I am a doctor or I'm a doctor. So 3 or 4 words.
Clearly I'm not a doctor.
Yeah. A doctorate of English.
Yeah. But I mean,
you have the handwriting of a doctor.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's like saying you have a face for radio.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
A handwriting only a nurse could love. Is that the equivalent? Read. Well, it's like, a face only a mother could love.
Yeah. Handwriting only a nurse could read would probably be the.
Yeah, that's fair.
Do you think so this is what I've always thought. I've always thought that kids would be able to read bad handwriting the best because they can read their own handwriting, So as you get older, you lose the ability to read bad handwriting. It's like a superpower that 5-year-olds have. Well, the problem is
I don't know.
There's a tough Venn diagram, right? Because they have bad handwriting, but they're also not very good at reading yet. So it's like, how are you like?
Handwriting's interesting. There's probably science behind it, I'm sure. But I mean, it's just always interested me.
We're low key in the handwriting business.
It's true.
We're a handwriting company that just so happens to sell journals.
That's true. Yeah. Yeah.
What if we started calligraphy courses? We did online calligraphy courses. Write like a hero.
I could use one of those.
You could.
Yeah.
I don't know if you need calligraphy. I think you just need
Yeah. Wait, is there intro to calligraphy?
Yeah.
Is there calligraphy theory?
Yeah. Intro to calligraphy, writing in print.
Yeah. Writing your first words that are legible to other human beings.
Did you ever wonder why they're like, you can either print or use cursive? Like print, it can mean so many things, but cursive is quite specifically one style of writing,
Yeah, I'm not really sure what happened with that.
Yeah,
I don't even know if people still learn cursive.
Yeah.
Oh, they did?
They took cursive out?
Wow. Well,
see you later, cursive.
We're the last of a dying breed.
Seriously.
We can write in cursive.
You know what's crazy is in college as a history major, right? We had to read this. We had to read Captain George Vancouver, his original documents.
Yeah.
So boring. Because my teacher's idea behind it was if you the way that they had to write when they were discovering territories, they had to describe everything. Right. It was to the west. It's kind of like GeoGuessr, but the opposite. And they would their S's look like F's. It was so difficult to read because I had to decide what was an S and what was an F.
Did you ever have to do a handwritten assignment in cursive?
Oh yeah.
That was always the tag on the bottom of the, at the end of the assignment. They'd be write a 2-page essay in cursive. And it's
got him.
No one's ever going to experience that now.
One of the worst grades I ever got in school was a cursive assignment because I'm left-handed. And so you never pick up your hand in cursive.
Right.
So I dragged my arm all the way through it. So my teacher's like, I can't even read this. And I was like, well, you mean write in cursive? What do we, you set me up for failure. There was no way for me to win.
Ride slower.
Yeah.
Get a little fan.
I'm like,
Dry it on the other
I'm
side.
like this. I don't think so. I don't think they have hand gloves for it. Do they?
You need to get like a little skateboard.
Oh yeah.
That, like has 2 wheels, and you can kind of glide
No,
along
the
the pitch.
skateboard. So the skateboard has it like this, but it has adjustable legs. So it's a little bit bigger than the piece of paper. So it just like
It's huge. I bet they have something like
Yeah,
this.
yeah.
I bet that this is a common thing
It's
for
like-
left-handed calligraphers.
it's like guide rails. So then you go like this. So the board moves like this,
yeah,
but the guide rails stick. So then you can just like go
yeah.
back and
It's
forth.
like a gantry.
Yeah. It's like a pantry.
Yeah.
But
really-
yeah, so
What an odd tangent.
we've had a couple odd tangents. The chunky noodle soup was probably the weirdest one. So we are currently in day 2 of the Kickstarter. We're in day 3. You're right. We have 28 days left.
Yeah.
And
The days end at 9 o'clock though, 9 p.m. because that's when I scheduled the campaign to close.
oh yeah.
So that's the
Gotcha.
24-hour basis.
So with 28 days left, we are currently at around 810 backers, $78,000.
Yep.
We are at 300% of our goal, which is great.
What do you think we're going to end at?
See, there's a lot of variables, right? This is why we did Kickstarter, was to try to attract new heroes.
You got to pick one number. We'll watch this podcast back, or someone will.
Yes.
In fact, I want to hear it in the comments. What do you guys think will end the Kickstarter?
Yeah.
at?
What's your guess?
Yeah, and we'll give you all the information. Like we have a spot on a podcast coming up at the end,
March 4th.
March 4th. Side Hustle School is dropping a podcast.
We thought it was gonna be today. It's not.
I know, what a bummer. But so there will be kind of additional traffic from that.
There's a potential we're on Kickstarter projects. We love email.
There's a potential that we get placed on that email. Again, we don't know. We're not trying to allude to anything. We genuinely do not know. So, and then we just started using a marketing agency.
Yes.
Which hypothetically with some ad spend will get us higher numbers. So you know everything we know. I want to know in the comments, where do you think we will end the campaign at?
I think it's gonna be $182,000.
That's gonna be my guess.
$731.42.
There's no sense at all.
$182. $182,731.
I kid you not. I was literally gonna say 182,000, but
Well,
I'll change it. I want to be a little more optimistic than you.
Ooh.
1 million. No, okay.
Okay. All right.
Just Josh. I'm gonna say. I'm gonna say 213.
Ooh.
213,000. We'll say 213,323.
Okay.
213,223 dollars.
Yeah. You only use 3 numbers.
What do you mean?
213323. You only use 3 numbers.
That's yeah.
Yeah. It's only 3 numbers he knows.
I don't deviate. Yeah, that's my guess. If we could break 200,000,
Yeah.
I would be really.
I want to put an exciting stretch goal at 200,000.
Yeah.
That is my hot take.
That was my thought. Is I want to do like, something. Really, I'm not going to spill any beans, but we've had some exciting conversations.
I've been advocating for a really aggressive one, but
yeah,
who knows?
paragliding trip.
Yep, a paragliding trip with the founders of the Heroes Journal. We will paraglide across Paraguay.
Everyone gets to do it.
Everyone in all 2,000 people go on a paragliding trip.
So dumb. All right, we're going to hop off here. Clearly, we're losing our minds trying to make this Kickstarter happen. But currently, right under $80,000. I hope that we end just over 200,000. Kyle hopes that we end at 182,000.
I mean, honestly, I'd rather.
No, you just don't care about the business as much as I do. I'm just kidding. Let us know in the comments what you think we will end at, and we'll go back and pick the closest one, and we'll give you a little shout out on the podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah, but until then, please go back to Kickstarter if you haven't already. And if you have, please share it. Share it to your social channels. We are trying to hit $100,000, so that way we can send you some more stuff for free, no additional cost. And then as we climb through the ranks, as we climb up in revenue, whatever, backer number rather, we will unlock more things. So yeah, more free stuff.
And if you haven't already, subscribe to our YouTube channel on YouTube. Obviously, turn on that notification bell, and if download wherever you listen to podcasts.
Beautiful. Thanks for tuning in to episode 14 of the Heroes Journal podcast. We will see you in the next one.